Wanted to welcome everybody. Thank you for being here. It's great to be with you. I know people will be jumping on through the webinar as well, and we're really fortunate to have Renee with us today, SafeLot Program Manager. She is just not only pioneering a new relationship with hope and pioneering a wonderful new opportunity in her own life, but she is the pioneer starting this amazing safe parking program, which, as many of you have been following in the articles that have been in the press, in our newsletters, and all the information that has been out there, has been a huge source of support and encouragement for those that have been moving into homelessness. And we have great stats and great success. So I'm going to jump right in. We have a number of things that Renee's going to speak to first. That being said, if something strikes you as we are moving through this conversation, type in the chat box. So I see that we have one comment, a hello, Kimberly, right now in the chat box. Type in the chat box. You can also put in the Q&A. I'll be moderating both of those. Any questions or comments that you want me to bring into the space. And I will either interject them as Renee is sharing, or I will go ahead and save them for after the time that she shares. So let's do this, replace. Hello, Renee.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Kimberly.
Hi. So I wanted to invite Renee to share a little bit about her own story. Every once in a while, she gets a chance to share it, but it was one of the reasons we all thought she was the perfect person to start this program, was because of some of her lived experience and her own expertise and wisdom she's bringing to the plate as part of Hope. So Renee, will you share a little bit about your own story?
Yeah, of course. So I actually, up until I started working with Hope, and maybe a month or so before that, I had been homeless for almost 5 years. Prior to being homeless, I was in a much better place. I worked for CSU. I lived up in Fort Collins, had a house, 2 cars, a family. It was great. And then some marital problems caused me to leave my husband and then become homeless. And it was kind of a downward spiral from there. And the struggle that comes with being homeless isn't just what everyone sees. It's not that, oh, well, they don't have a house, or they can't cook dinner, or they can't shower. It's definitely more than that. The toll that it has on your mental capacity, on your focus, on everything is you can't really understand unless you've been there. I feel like I started out when I left my husband. I still had my job. I had a place to stay with friends, and then being homeless kind of just did, like I said, it had a downward spiral, and I lost my job, lost my home, and once you're in that position, it's really hard to get back up from that. From small things, like I was constantly worrying about how I was going to finagle dinner. Actually, most of my time and focus was spent trying to get up enough money so that I could get a hotel room for the weekend so that I could see my son and hang out with my son. And I didn't want just a regular cheap hotel room. I wanted one where he had his own bedroom so that he could feel more like home. So most of my week was spent trying to get money for a nice hotel room for my son so that I could be with him, because I didn't want him in that environment with me being homeless. I didn't want him coming to the houses I was staying at or whatever. And so that took up all of my everything. And so looking for another job or finding a place to live, it was not able to be done during that time, because that was what was most important to me. Let's see, trying to think. I don't know exactly what enabled me to, or what exactly one thing enabled me to get out of the situation that I was in. It was a number of things. The reentry initiative was a big part of that. Just someone willing to give you a second chance, someone willing to actually help you, not just provide you with food resources or, you know, there's so many times I went to a place that said that they would be able to help me and I didn't have the document I needed, or I didn't have, I didn't meet their qualifications in some way. And so I was turned away, but told that I could go to the food bank. And while that's very much appreciated, those kinds of services, it just wasn't, it didn't actually help the need that I had. And the reentry initiative was not exclusive and said, oh, well, you need this. Okay, we're going to help you get that. And they did. And from that point forward, I started making positive steps, and then Joseph and Hope gave me a chance at this position, and I'm starting to, I'm giving back to the community that I was actually a part of for 5 years, and so it feels really good. But it just started with that one person saying, hey, I can actually help you. and that's what's done it, so.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. I know it's very vulnerable. I'm sure everyone that's in attendance can relate to the fact that when we experience challenge and in it we're vulnerable, it can be really difficult to speak about that and to speak to it. And we all have a variety of challenges. We all have a variety of losses, of ways we've failed, of ways we've been failed. And there's rarely a place for a common ground and recognition for that. And just like Renee is giving testimony to, many of the people that we serve have just had maybe even one difficult event that catapulted something. And yet outwardly, it looks different than what really happened. So as many of you know, we are committed to supporting the very individuals that we serve that are much more than what meets the eye. So we want to jump right into SafeLot, and Renee is our program manager. What that means is she's in charge of the whole program. She is developing the back end part of it. She is managing the staff. She is managing the relationships with our partners where we use the lots. She's helping to create a smooth flow of all the logistics. She's not only working with what we're doing right now, but she is also working with building the kind of structure that can continue to grow and expand. So it's a huge endeavor, and we owe her a deep debt of gratitude for that. So I've invited Renee to share with you as a start point, what's the structure of SafeLot and what kind of support do we provide? Because I continue to clarify this in my own media and in grants and in things I'm writing. So she's going to share with us a bit more about what the Safe Parking Program is, its structure, and secondarily, what kind of support we provide.
Like Kimberly said, it's not just a safe parking space. It does provide that, and with that comes a lot of relief to people that are experiencing homelessness and living in their cars in itself. But in addition to that, the location that that is hosting SafeLot has been gracious enough to allow us use of their indoor space, a shower, even a storage shed. And with all of that comes so many other things. Having the ability to shower every day is huge, especially during these COVID times where a lot of gyms are closed and the availability to feel normal with a shower is very limited. We provide dinner each night, breakfast, coffee. Coffee is huge in the morning. And we provide a community room that allows people to just hang out and watch TV, which I don't know how many times I was able to watch TV when I was homeless. Not often at all, because who has the TV in their car? So to just be able to catch up on local events and like feel normal is huge. We also have a client advocate that as soon as someone enters the program, they touch base with her, and she basically determines what their needs are and how to get them stable. And so, and then from then, we start working on helping them to achieve those things, whether it be need car repairs to get back and forth to work, or whether it be just need someone to help them like find resources or find housing, need someone to provide a reference for anything. We just do a number of things. At the beginning, before we had the client advocate, I was making dentist appointments for people. I mean, it's kind of all inclusive. There's no, just whatever you need, we help with. So.
Great, thank you so much. And how do people become a participant? Some people are under the idea that it's a safe parking lot, and if you give a call, then you can just simply show up and have that safe place. But as people are getting to know us, they understand that we're much more than that. So how do you become a participant?
Right. Well, we don't want people that are just okay with staying in their cars forever. We're trying to get people into a stable environment. And so there is an application process. We don't really exclude anyone except for people that have sexual offenses because of families, and then people that just don't want to get into a stable environment. Those are the only exclusions we have, which I actually think is a really great thing, not just of the SafeLot program, but of HOPE in general, because I've not seen HOPE turn really anyone away that needs help. A lot of places, like I'd mentioned in my experience, you have requirements, have certain things that are needed for you to qualify for assistance. And it's HOPE, if you go to them and say, hey, I need this, and you don't have a requirement that they ask for, instead of turning you away and putting you into the pool of millions of people that still need help, they say, okay, well, what can we do to help you get that requirement met? And so that's a really good thing that I've seen with HOPE. As far as the application process, it's an online application. If you don't have internet access, you could also come and fill out a paper application at the HOPE office. But it's a very short application, basically just information on how we can reach out to you to talk with you further. I then interview the person and make sure that it's the right program for that individual or couple. And then we do a background check just for the sexual offense thing. And then once that is done, we schedule an intake. And as soon as there's an open space available, you can start being part of the program. So.
Great, thank you, thank you. And what about our demographic? People have been really curious about that. And one of the things that everyone should know about SafeLot is we have a much greater capacity and autonomy to expand our demographic. It's in our hands. The decisions we make are in our hands, which lets us be much more open to a wider possibility. So talk to us about demographics.
For everyone that comes to SafeLot obviously has a car, an ability to drive, and a majority of them are working class people that either lost employment and housing, or just housing and have a job. They just need to save money to get a new place. I would say that's probably 80% of the population are just working class people. Most of them are either part of a couple or have pets, which is one of the main reasons why they wouldn't go to the shelter. At one point, we had more pets than humans. It was kind of neat. Yeah, so that's, I guess, basically the demographic. There's been a few people that are not employed or not looking for work. They just need access to subsidized housing or whatever. But for the most part, it's all working class people.
Great, thank you, thank you. And I wanted to seed in a little success story. You want to tell us about Wanda?
Yeah, actually, she came to us and actually wasn't with the program for more than, I think, a month. But she had two autistic daughters and was coming from out of state and had some issues that put her in a position to where she had been living in her van with her 2 daughters. She came to us, and I helped her to get a phone so she could start looking for employment and access other resources. And then with Hope, in partnership with, I believe, St. Vrain Valley School District and Boulder County, she got into housing within a month, private housing. And she's actually doing really well. I talk to her probably every couple of days. I talk to her and check in with her. She stops by SafeLot, and she's had dinner there a couple of times. So, and her kids are doing great. One of her daughters is enrolled in a GED program, and yeah, it's great. But it was really heartwarming when they first came to the site, because one of the daughters was really sweet, and she immediately, she's like, she said her name and she spelled it. She's like, it's with an IE, not a Y. And then she explained to me that her last Christmas, kids are just funny, but she explained that her last Christmas wasn't so great because they didn't really get a lot of presents. But her mom did take her to the bookstore and let her pick out her very own 2 books. And they were Diary of the Wimpy Kid books. And it was sad, but I don't know, I felt a connection with her. It was really nice. I told the church later on about the children, and the next day some Diary of a Wimpy Kid books showed up on my desk. So that was really sweet. So
it's really sweet. And that brings to a great next question is, what happens when they leave? So a big question, I think, for all of us, whether you're attending this webinar, whether you're interested in what happens with homelessness, is what happens when somebody leaves a program where they have suffered great loss, where they've received support from an organization, and then all of a sudden they're back out on their own? That's daunting. What happens when our people leave the SafeLot program?
I stay in contact with them. Definitely, I've helped some of them get furniture. Like I said, Wayne does come back. I tell everyone that leaves, hey, if you want to come hang out and eat dinner with us for the next week or so, you're more than welcome to, or anytime really, but they don't typically stay longer than a week after. But I figure when they're getting into housing, they probably spent all of their resources on the housing and moving. And so they maybe don't have food. They don't have stuff to cook food on, or so much as paper plates. And some of them are not, they've been used to the community and having the social interaction that we provide at SafeLot. And so they go into their empty house, and I feel like it's still good to allow them to come back and kind of have a transition into being into their own house, so they don't get lonely or overwhelmed with the responsibilities of new home renting or whatever. And that's actually gone over really well. Every couple weeks, on the people that I haven't spoken to for a little while, the people that were housed originally, I reach out to them and say, hey, how's it going? Do you guys need anything? And sometimes they respond with, no, we're good. Other times that they might ask for something like, well, actually, could we stop by for dinner? Or I kind of need a couch. Could you help me with that? And so I try to help with that.
Yeah, it's fantastic. You're a great witness of what we do as an organization all around. I can attest to every staff person really devoting themselves to the longer term success of the people that we work with. Success meaning in the most holistic way, of course. So another success story, tell us about Ben.
He came to us, and he was actually here for probably 6 months, and he was employed already when he got here, but he was at a very entry-level position with his job. And since he is now in housing and has accepted a promotion at work and is doing half the job that he was originally doing, but is now also an IT person for the company, and it's a pretty large company. So he was excited about that. He's also taking care of a bunch of his fines and has budgeted to where he is able to slowly make payments on his debts and stuff. And he's doing really well also. So
Yeah, great. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
So even though I've been putting this out in the newsletters and our other information, let everybody know what's been the staging of our expansion. So where are we at right now? We started mid-June with one lot.
Hmm.
What has
One
happened
lot.
since then?
And there was 8 cars at that one lot originally. We kind of, I don't know how it happened, and we kind of merged into having 9. I think there was like an exception that I just chose to not get rid of at some point. So now there's 9 at that first lot. And there was a wait list almost from the beginning, but we didn't have the locations for auxiliary lots or anything. We didn't have everything finalized, and we were kind of just making sure we could handle the capacity from a program standpoint. And so once we were comfortable with that, we started opening auxiliary lots that still come to the main lot for services like for showers and food and stuff. But we now have 2 auxiliary lots in Longmont that have 5 cars each. So we have a total of 19 people right now. And actually this is the fullest, I mean, it's the fullest it's been since the program opened. We have 18 participants. We only have 1 spot available, and it's kind of spoken for. So that's pretty huge. It was really busy on Tuesday when I was at the location. So, and then in Boulder, we will be opening our first Safe Lot in Boulder with 6 cars on the 25th, so next Thursday. And we'll slowly start to do that, the same auxiliary lot system there as we get participants. So.
Right. And so everyone knows we've been really fortunate. We had 5 religious organizations, churches, synagogue, and they have all been eagerly desiring to come to the table around this SafeLot program. So we've had more offer for partnerships than we can even open up to immediately. So that's really encouraging to see that kind of support. We couldn't do it without those partners. While our program does really require a substantial amount of funding because we need the staff. Renee, alluded to the fact that we're there for people. It's not just the lot. So we've got evening staff, we've got overnight staff, we've got Renee, we've got a client advocate, and we need to support our staff who give so much. So it does require a substantial amount of funding. That being said, we could not do it without the partnerships. If we needed to rent space everywhere we went, it would simply be cost prohibitive. So we couldn't be more thankful to our partners. And sometimes those names will come out of the partners and other times not. And you can understand why we might be a little quiet around our partnership names. So, well, is there something else you want to share, Renee, before I field some questions, or any other success stories you want to share? Or how about a little success data? Your report for the last board meeting was really great.
Well, of the original 9 SafeLot participants, all of them have moved on into housing. So that's great. We had 100% turnaround for those people. So every face is pretty new at SafeLot nowadays. So I kind of like that little piece of information.
Yeah, it's a great piece of information. And
all the OGs have moved on. So.
That is so great. That's so great. Well, I am also going to share this screen and you can speak to this data right here.
So that's correct. So there have been 18 individuals that have moved into housing since June 15th of last year. When we started the program, we kind of predicted a 6-month turnaround time for people. We figured that's about the amount of time that would be needed if someone needed to start from square one and get a job, save money, find a place to rent, and so on. And so that's kind of what we're seeing. There's some people like Wanda that got into housing right away. And yeah, I think 6 months has been the greatest amount of time that it's taken so far for someone to move into housing. So, so I guess that kind of speaks for itself. We do have some other exits, but those are either self-exited individuals, people that either left state or left the area and decided to go a different route with their needs. And then there's a couple others. We are fully staffed, and we like to keep, I mean, we keep everyone safe and comfortable. And so there are some situations that kind of threatened that. So we had to exit people based on that, but that's been a very small number of people. And I think 2 of the 4 were within the first week of the program. So yeah, the intake process is pretty good, and I can kind of tell if someone's going to be a right fit or not for the program. So
Right. And so, what's really amazing when you look at those numbers is that we have more than 50% success rate with the people that have stepped into our program. And with this dramatic expansion that's happened in February and March, we're really poised to build a larger number with the same or more success rate. Renee was sharing with me that, the difference between an intake and a new client is an intake is that they've gone through the process and they've done the background check and they've had the interview and they're a fit. And we may need to help them a little bit more. We have a woman right now, Tammy, who her car battery died, so she can't drive her car the lot. So she can't use the SafeLot program, and yet she qualifies for the program. So what we're doing is we're helping her be able to take advantage of the program. So we're helping her get her car fixed so that she can become a new client. So you can tell that with these numbers, we walk with people every step of the way. And that's one of the things before we open up for questions. And I know you all know this, is that one of the things Hope has always been committed to is to meet people where they're at, right? We started as a street outreach program, which means we went out into the streets. We didn't ask people to come to us sitting in office. We went out in our cars. We did the courageous thing of walking up to somebody we didn't even know to offer them friendship, food, resources, without any obligation, without any pressure. And you can see by what Renee shared here that here we're doing the same thing. We're approaching people right where they are in their unique situation and offering them what we have to offer. We're a mediator for resources that are not easily accessible. If you've attended any of the panel discussions or the talks that I did with other nonprofits over the summer, you'll see laid out that while you think that all these resources are easily accessible to people, things like food or job assistance or getting a new ID or working some aspect of the system, you think that since it's there's a website, there's a phone number, there's a physical office, that somehow that makes it easily accessible to every single person. And that's simply not true. As mysterious as that sounds, it's just not true. So here we've got in our safe parking program a stellar example of us approaching people right where they are. If you have ever been in a situation to sleep in your car, you know that it's very isolating. Imagine losing your home and sleeping in your car with or without pets or children. It's very isolating. All of a sudden, everything that's familiar to you that you can rest in is within probably like a 4-foot radius of you. That can make it very challenging emotionally to go beyond that without great duress to access the resources that are there in our community. So just to lay a wider context for how aligned the program Renee just shared with you is with our fundamental mission. So now I want to open it up for questions or comments, and please use the chat box, use the Q&A. I mean, I think Renee did an awesome job of making it really clear, but let's hear more from everybody that's attending. Where in Boulder is the new SafeLot located? I think we can share on this webinar. The congregation that said yes to it gave their okay to share.
okay, it's at Har Hashem, right on Baseline, is going to be the hub. location in Boulder. And then all of the auxiliary lots that will open as we get participants are right there within a mile of each other, mostly along baseline.
Mhm. And what Renee means as hub, and she may have already explained this, but I'll recap it quickly, is that when we open more than one lot in a city, we want to have the common meeting space at one location. It's easiest for us to manage, but it also gives all of our participants a chance to build community. So, are there any similar profiles of folks that need this type of program? Do you find some common factors, Renee, among the people we're serving so far? It's difficult to say, we're less than a year into it, so our stats are somewhat biased by COVID and by the newness of the program, but what might you say, Renee, is a common factor?
I would, a lot of them were people that were working at day pay places because they were trying to save up money to get a place, but then they were using that money that they earned each day on daily living expenses like food or a hotel room so they could shower and be normal for the next day's work. Or, you know, for gas to get from one place to another. There's a lot of people that have, are looking for work that are utilizing like the DoorDash or Grubhub as employment in the meantime, because all they have is their car at the moment. So, and they're actively looking for employment. So I think that's a majority of the folks so far have been that.
Yeah, so what that really speaks to is the reality, the fact that the cost of living and the living wage just don't match. You know, definitely in Colorado, that's almost undisputed in Colorado, but I think it's fair to say that that's throughout our country. So think about the huge percentage of individuals that are teetering on the edge, that their expenses, they're even slowly maybe going into a little more debt and a little more debt, right? Because the cost of living is higher than what their living wage is, or they're almost like this. So then you don't have anything over and above that for the odd need for a dental appointment or something like that. Those sorts of things, as small as they might be, are exactly what can put somebody over the edge and make it unsustainable to stay in the rental market. So, so we have a question. Are there many that come from other states? And again, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. There have been quite a few. They haven't come from other states directly into the SafeLot program. They came from other states prior to knowing about the SafeLot program and have been in Colorado for sometimes a little while. Others haven't, maybe 10, 15% of them have been very new residents of Colorado. Most of them I've found have not necessarily been in Boulder County, but have been in Colorado for a majority of their lives. There's one couple that actually has lived in Colorado her whole life, actually lived in Longmont their whole lives, and left Longmont to go to Denver and was there for, I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 months, and then came back, and that disqualified them for certain resources, housing resources and services, because they hadn't been in Longmont or Boulder County for a certain number of months. And so we helped them kind of get that time met so that they could access other services that are provided by Boulder County. So.
Right. Like we've got one of our own employees now, Heather, is a shining example of someone coming from another state to help her daughter and running into a series of challenges that spiraled her into being one of our first SafeLot participants. You want to share a little about Heather's story?
Yeah, Heather actually was, she was great, and she was very motivated from the beginning, and she's actually the one I was speaking of that lived in Longmont for a really long time, and then moved out of Longmont and then came back and was unable to access a lot of resources because of that. But she didn't, she wasn't employed or anything when her and her husband came to SafeLot. We helped them with making their vehicle legal and getting all of that taken care of so they could start, they started door dashing and saving up money doing that. She offered to help all the time at SafeLot, which was great. She really took part in the program. And then they found housing because they had saved up enough through door dashing, and her husband had gotten certification for, or I think renewed his certification for the industry that he had worked in. And then we needed someone at Hope to fill in for a position. And I recommended Heather because I thought she was great. I think she was a preschool teacher prior, I'm wanting to say. And so she had, I don't know, she was just a great person. And now she's helping out like crazy at the warehouse and is doing a great job. So, and her husband has a great job in Denver that he just started, I think, a month ago, and they're doing really well. So yeah, that's a really good story that she came to us as a client and is now giving back by working with us. So
yeah, and she is a great blessing for us. So when a person lives at SafeLot, do they have to have a mailbox or PO, or do they use the Hope address? How are you doing mailing right now?
a lot of them use the Hope address, and then when I'm over at the office, I'll grab it for them if it's there, or if they're expecting it, I'll come pick it up, or they can even stop by during the warehouse hours to pick it up. But a majority of them actually don't know that they can use the Hope address. And when I'm talking to them, they say some of their needs are, oh, well, I have this, but I don't have an address. And I'm like, yes, you do. You can use the Hope address.
Yeah.
And so, and that's actually been a blessing for a lot of people, is having that, because they can't get a lot of services without an address, or they can't even get like a card or their ID mailed to them without having an address. So that's very helpful.
And it's something that the Hope programming has offered all along. So once we had a physical place ourselves, we have many of our unhoused clients use our place. We we were on the receiving end for people of maybe upwards of 30,000 tax stimulus checks when we helped people way back when that first rush of stimulus came out as COVID hit us hard. So we have been there, and we always have two people, or we try to always have two people at our office so that we can be opening the door during our hours 12 to 6. So that's a service we've offered all along. And yeah, many have availed themselves of it for quite a long time. So great. Any other questions? Those are some great questions. And you got to thank you, Renee.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah, one of the things to add in as we're waiting for anybody else having questions is, what Renee's doing also a good job of in some of the back end is she's keeping really good notes as we're creating the wheel for this particular model of safe parking. Safe parking exists in other states. It needs to exist in every state and every city, but it does exist in some other states, and everybody goes about it a little bit differently. One of the unique ways that we're doing SafeLot is what we've talked about, and that's that full circle breadth of resource approach. So as we're building the wheel, Renee's working really hard to take great notes on what works and what doesn't work. And in the end, we also intend to produce a manual that other places can use. We've gotten inquiries from other cities in Colorado, from other cities in other states, asking how they start one where they live. And one of our intentions is to be able to offer a step-by-step process and give some troubleshooting tips as they're opening their own lots. So
SafeLot in a box kind of thing.
yeah, that's good.
Just add Hope. Yeah, into the water.
I love that. So Evelyn S. says, Renee, you are doing a wonderful job with the SafeLots and this webinar.
Thank you, Evelyn. I'm a little nervous. I'm always nervous with public speaking. So, but thank you.
Renee Renee bends a little to my requests here and there, right?
Yes, you've definitely made me step out of my box, Kimberly, since I've been here. You're, you're always asking things, and I start to say no, but then I'm like, wait, okay, I'm gonna do this now for you, and we'll see how it goes. So,
That's great. Well, you always do a great job. Okay, anybody else before we close out for the day? This was great. I'm just so happy you all took the time to join us, and you're already, I know all your names, so you're already an important part of the Hope family, and we couldn't do it without you. I mean, this, you can tell that we are a tapestry of individuals all giving what they have to give to make our programming possible. So we couldn't do it without you either. We're super grateful. We've got a little girl that's,
yeah,
hello,
sorry, she
this is
just
so
coming to see mommy and hit her head on.
Do you need anything for SafeLot? Well, we could use, you could hold intentions that the funding we're looking for comes through. That's one thing. On a practical level, do you need anything now, right, Renee? Do you need
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
any supplies or any particular volunteers for anything?
Um, not the only thing I could think of specifically would be like auto maintenance stuff and auto care, gas and stuff like that. But and that's something that we're constantly looking for, I feel like. But yeah, I guess, or our own apartment complex, that would be pretty nice.
A plot of land so we can build
Yes.
transitional housing. On
Yeah.
the small end, Renee's got a really good point. We do need things. Yes, gas cards would be really helpful. And if you know mechanics that either are really good and dependable and can work for less, or you know a way a program like that could be funded. For instance, maybe there's an organization that you're affiliated with that is always looking for a charitable act, to have a sponsorship from an organization be willing to, even for a couple months, say, hey, we'll cover the cost for auto repair for the SafeLot participants. That would be tremendous. We continue to look around for a way to work that cost, and we're always on the edge of what we have available. Great. Anybody else? Okay. Any final words, Renee, that you want to share?
No, I thank you for attending and letting me explain the program and stuff to you. And thanks to Kimberly for having me on. So
Absolutely. Well, we're super grateful to have you as part of the team. We're so grateful. And I am very grateful for you. You inspire me.
thank you.
Okay, everybody, that's it. I hope you have a fantastic day. And email Kimberly at Hope for Longmont if you have any follow-up. You can always get Renee at renee@hopeforlongmont.org. And we will go forward doing the work we do. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Blessings.